my name is Minou. Today I'm going to be talking about Erin Hunter's second series, Survivors. Basically, I'm going to be going over what I like and dislike about this series. It's not going to be a review where I go over individual events and characters, but more of my general opinion on the series as a whole. Now, spoiler alert for Survivors. If you have not read Survivors and you are planning on doing so, then keep in mind that this video will contain bits of information from all throughout the entire series. Keep that in mind. Survivors is a 2-arc long, I wish it was more than that, story about dogs. Dogs after an earthquake specifically. A lot of it is about how the leash dogs or pets have to survive in the wild and learn how to form packs and all that. So in the second arc, it's kind of, the pack has been together, it's all formed and everything's comfortable and it's all good. Except for that, all of a sudden, lots and lots of dogs are getting murdered and hurt and blamed for random things that they didn't do, and lots of rumors are going around about weird things, and bad things are just happening in every chapter, basically. And no one knows who's doing it. That's good and bad. I'm going to start with what I like and what I dislike about the series, and then I'll move on to what I like. So, what I dislike is that the tone is so consistent. Usually I'd say that's a good thing, that it's not just like flip-flopping between you know? But this is just like, it's every paragraph or so there has to be like a mentioning about how tense the air was, or how Storm was feeling so insecure, or like, okay, I get it, it's a really bad situation and nobody trusts anybody, but are happy moments of any sort really like banned now? Like, does nobody enjoy anything? There was a short period in Red Moon Rising where things were happy and looking good, but even during that time, Storm was thinking about all the things that had been happening before, because every dog thought that the troublemaker had been exiled a while ago. They thought it was Arrow, but it wasn't. Um, Storm was not convinced, so she was still thinking about it, even while she was supposed to be enjoying this moment of peace. She was still, her mind was going about all the bad things that had been happening, blah, 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 blah. Like, okay, it's bad, I know. Storm has a way of being a bit of a worry wart, but please just, like, can we have just like 2 minutes of, okay, it's all fine, let's not worry about something? The first book was kind of like that, but nothing bad had happened yet, so that doesn't really count. I do really like some of the instances, though. Like, I'm going to get into this later. I really liked these books, but I just wish there'd been like a few moments sprinkled in where Storm could just enjoy something, or be peaceful, or do something nice without having to think about it constantly. It's repetitive, although it does set the tone really well, and it does create this everlasting, like, cloud of dread. And it's really satisfying at the end when that cloud dissipates after so long of being stuck in there. But just there could have just been a few moments, you know. Okay. Now, what else do I dislike? Some of the characters are a bit shallow, but mostly they are very well done. I think that sometimes some people complain about Lost City and how it was kind of like a bad opening for the series, and it didn't set you up very well because it was just strange. Like, you didn't know who Sweet was, and you didn't know how Lucky knew Sweet, and it was kind of just strange reading it. And, you know, like, many people say that Bravelands did a better job, which I agree, but I don't think it's that bad. I think it's actually pretty good. It's not as good as the Warriors opening, you know, with Rusty and his dream. That just really lures you in and hooks you very, very well. this one doesn't do it quite as well. Like you get him in the prologue being his little puppy self, and then you're in a trap house, and it's just not the same. There's something about it that doesn't hook you as well. But you know what? I don't care. Me, I don't care. Most of it, I read things whether the hook is good or not. um, I read all the way through. As long as the instances inside of the book, once you get into the bulk of it, like the middle, the end, and then later on into the sequels, as long as that's good, I don't care at all. It could have been like, I don't know. I haven't read Lost City in a while, and also I just never really noticed it myself, but I have heard people complain about it. I'd say it's not that bad. One thing that I noticed is that like there's no old dogs. Like you have Hunter in the beginning, like old Hunter, but other than that, everybody's like middle aged or puppies. But mostly there's only like two litters of puppies during the entire event. Like you have warriors where kids are being born like every month. Entire litters of kids are being born every month, and like cats are dying like maybe one cat a year. Like you have that extreme, and then you have this one where so many people are dying constantly, but then you only have two litters during the entire series. So I wish there had been a little bit more equalness. I guess I wish there had been a few more old dogs that have were encountered. I don't think that the dogs that were the protagonists should have grown old because I really like how this series is during a relatively short period of time where usually Warrior Cats takes place over a long span of time, and so the cats grow up very fast. Like you're reading how they grow up and then eventually become elders. Here it's like you're just reading about the main bits of their life, like the most dramatic parts of these dogs' lives. It's not like you're reading about their entire life, and I like that. But I do wish that they had run into more old dogs, even if none of the dogs here had gotten old. Just so that it would feel more balanced. I don't think I really mind that there were only two litters of puppies. It was actually kind of nice that they took forever to grow up because then you got more time to learn what each pup really cared about and who they were before they were suddenly apprentices or adults. I like the ceremonies as well. I like that. I like the whole moon pelt thing where the dogs get their name, how they have to find a white rabbit and how they do it under the moon dog. Like they do this whole ceremony and everything, and there's a howl and the dog chooses their own name. Like that's weird. What the heck? In Seekers, the parents named their cubs. In Warriors, the leader names the cats as well as the parents. And generally, we've never seen a system where a dog names themselves. We, people, humans, generally do not name ourselves. So it's really, really interesting to see this completely different system from what we're used to. I really liked that. So yeah, now let's officially move on to our likes. Okay, so I really like that. Well, this is natural because you're working with dogs, but I like that each dog has their own skills, and I really like the hierarchy systems. I like all of the rituals and the religions that every dog seems to instinctually have, like the knowledge of the moon dog. Like they know that the moon dog's called the moon dog, and she's the one who moves about the sky. And then there's the sun dog, and the earth dog, and the forest dog, and the sky dogs, and all of that. Every dog seems to know about that, so it's not really a religion. It's just kind of like how the dogs are, I guess. Maybe it's a religion. It depends on how you look at it, and which dog you're thinking about. Because the leash dogs, I think they know less about them, and they don't howl and they don't bury the food for the moon and earth dogs. So that's I guess it does depend, but I really liked that how that whole system worked. How they had these almost gods that actually were the stuff that they represented. Like usually with gods, they're just like humanoid forms that resemble their natural counterpart and they control their natural counterpart. Well, here they actually are their natural counterpart. They are dogs in the sky, a dog that is in the ground or is the ground, and like when they saw some bulldozer bulldozers tearing up the ground to start construction, like they were like, oh my gosh, they are wounding the earth dog because they are digging into the ground. Like that was weird. You don't see that very often, and I really liked it. These rituals, religions, and systems are just very unique. The hierarchy system, I loved that. How it's reminiscent of a wolf pack, but not the same, and how the fighting works to gain ranks, like how every single dog has their own unique rank, not just patrol dogs and hunt dogs. Every dog is above another one or below another one. That's cool, although it's kind of oppressive, honestly. I like the whole third dog thing, like this extra advisor who has authority, but like to a degree. The characters are generally really well done. Sunshine, Daisy, Martha, ah yes, Fiery. I love them. Anyhow, what was I talking about before? Ah yes, every dog has their own different role. Like every dog naturally is better at some things than others, and that can work for them in most cases and sometimes against them. Sweet is a great runner because she is a greyhound. Martha is a great swimmer and she's very large and strong because she is a Newfoundland. Fiery is very strong and very, very, I guess, a good fighter and good hunter because he's a bull mastiff. Like, it's kind of bad because each dog kind of is born into a role to a degree, but at the same time, if you have certain abilities, then you can rise to the top. It's not just like, generally, if you're not super tiny like Days Sunshine, honestly, if you're the size of Sunshine, you're kind of screwed. Like there's not much you can do. Sorry, but if you're like yay big, and you have a certain skill like swimming, hunting, chasing, running, something that sets you apart and something that helps you hunt or fight, that brings you to the top. Like you each dog gains their rank for a different reason. Like, each dog is different, but each dog generally has a chance at gaining rank because each one has their own benefits. Each breed has their own special skills that allow them to defeat certain dogs in certain fights. One last thing that I wanted to mention was the power dynamics. Now, at first, you have this one alpha. He's half wolf and he's very, like, greedy. He's very tough and strict, and he's merciless, I guess. He's unforgiving. You can't break any rules, and it seems like it's for the best. A lot of dogs have explanations for this behavior. They say you have to be tough to be wild, and that any dog who eats out of their turn is taking away from the packs and being greedy, and all that jazz. But then Sweet comes along, the new alpha. She's a lot more friendly, less strict. I guess she's still strict, but she's not selfish, I guess. You kind of learn that being a good person and being a good leader kind of goes hand in hand, and like at first, like you kind of had all these excuses. The dogs were kind of okay with their alpha. No one was really complaining. It was just Lucky because he had his weird lone dog thoughts and he was all scared of the alpha. But it turns out that really Sweet does do a better job, and Alpha was a pretty bad alpha. So it's like an interesting lesson, I guess. It's an interesting lesson, and I really like the way that it works, and I don't know, something about it just makes me so happy. And finally, the very, very last thing that I wanted to talk about are these amazing covers. Like, these look real. These look like you just took some dogs and photoshopped them in, but obviously they're not. Actually, one thing that I want to mention, I don't know if it'll focus here. Yeah. Look at Bruno's face. Look at Bruno's face. Who did this to Bruno's face? Why is it like this? Why is Bruno's face so squish? Isn't he supposed to be a German Shepherd? Like, look at that face. I don't know if you can see it properly, but this dog back here, the brown one, what the heck? Alright, so I love these covers, by the way. It's just every once in a while you find some things that are kind of like, okay, that looks strange. But otherwise, these are so realistic. I think it's Julia Green who does these. And wow, good job, lady. You did a really great job. Like, all of these look spectacular. The one thing, though, they don't really capture emotion. They're kind of just like dogs standing there. That has to do more with the design than the way the art's done. The art's beautiful, but I just think there should be more expression on the dogs' faces. Maybe it should be a scene. I like book covers that portray a scene or something. Like, let's say Percy Jackson and that whole series, the Bang Shebang thing. Usually those covers, even though they're not realistic like this, they generally, at least not all the time, they generally show an event. They showcase the events that are going on as well as the characters, whereas these ones generally don't. I mean, yeah, this time you get Red Moon Rising, like you get that red moon in the back, but like that they weren't just like standing on a cliff there. They were in camp. So why aren't they in camp? And they were howling. Why aren't they howling? So I just wish they captured the events and the emotion more. However, yeah, the covers are great. I won't complain any more than this. I love them. My final thing about Survivors is, it's over, and I'm so sad. I am devastated. I am devastated that this thing is over because I loved it so much. It was amazing. Yeah, it was a little tense sometimes. Yeah, the covers don't show enough emotion, but it was just good. It was really good. And I mean, you could find flaws in everything. And so, like, I would read this. I would read this if I forgot all these stories and stuff. I would 100% read these over and over and over. I recommend these books more than I recommend anything right now. Maybe that's just because I've been reading them a lot lately, but I don't know, like Brave Land Survive. Poke around at the other Erin Hunter series. I encourage you guys, if you haven't already, they are so worth a read. Generally, they are just as good, if not better, than Warriors. And the only problem is they don't last forever, and they generally only have 2 arcs, which is really sad. If you don't like being like dropped off, if you like Warriors because of the way that it's like endless, then okay, maybe these aren't for you. But if you're fine with that, then read it. Read it. It's so good. It's so good. If you're a Warriors fan, if you're not a Warriors fan, doesn't matter. These stories have nothing to do with Warriors. So if you're wanting to get into the Erin Hunter world, you just don't know which series to start in, you can start wherever the heck you want. Like, whichever one appeals to you most, go with it, because mostly the certain series do not have anything to do with each other. They're all good in their own ways. Survivors is like the opposite of Seekers, though. That's just something you should know. Seekers is really laid back and cool and calm and like really relaxing. It's focusing a lot on the scenery and nature and the relationships between the different characters, whereas Survivors is focusing a lot on these dramatic, epic scenes. Like this one's a lot more of like a dramatic adventure. I'd say this would be like a superhero show, and then Seekers would be like a documentary. Both are gripping in their own ways. The documentary has its own moments of action, where the cheetah is catching up to the antelope, whatever. But this one is more focused on the drama that's going on within the pack, whereas Seekers is more focused on like their friendship and on their journey. So, yeah. I'm going to stop talking now because I'm going to get stuck in a loop of infinite, like, I love Survivors rants. So, yeah. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a like and a comment. It would help me so much. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.